Thank you all very much again for joining us. If you're first time ever joining us, we've got some people that might be joining us for the first time. You may have seen our episode last Friday. Welcome to the show. Try to go over a lot of the current events that you may need to know both locally and nationally. The stuff that isn't covered normally by the big networks that are out there, what we might call legacy media. Behind the camera is Anthony, and you'll hear him chime in every now and then, give some of his feedback on some of these stories. But we've got 5 good ones for you here today. Everything from what is going on in Orlando and the waste of money, and how you just need to hear about how inept our government is in the city of Orlando, because it's just another shining example is happening tonight, Monday night, all the way to what is going on with McDonald's. We're going to dive into Nike. A lot of great stories here for you on a Monday morning. So let's jump right into our first one. Tonight, everybody, June the 8th in Orlando. What is happening? We've got our little city council meeting, okay? Orlando City Council is going to vote on a 3-year pause on the Historic Preservation Board's power over downtown. Now, what exactly does this mean? It means that there's a small area of downtown that this board was created for, that they have had an ability to turn down improvements if they felt it did not meet the preservation board's rules for how things should work in downtown. And so you've got this guy who's been on this board for 18 years named Jeffrey Thompson, who's going to stand up tonight and give some big hoorah speech about why do we need this preservation board to stay intact in downtown. And I want everyone to understand something, that downtown Orlando has got to be the most inept leadership that there is in the country. Of course, we're going to vote on this, but I want everyone just to think about how crazy this is. We can't get people to move downtown. We have people flocking out of downtown. Nobody wants to invest in downtown. And we've got some guy on a board for 18 years that his only responsibility is to preserve historic downtown Orlando. I want you to ask yourself this. When's the last time you heard somebody ever say, man, I can't wait to get to Orlando to go to the historic downtown district? Said nobody ever. But yet we have on our board somebody whose time, energy, and resources is completely spent on preserving the historic district of downtown. And I'm going to give you another example of why this is so stupid. We've had $200 million that has been poured into downtown Orlando to beautify and make it a more walkable space. I know what you're thinking right now, the same thing I am. $200 million went where? Where is the $200 million gone, everybody? Now, part of that is supposed to go to making the city more walkable, more peaceful, and they've invested in parks, and I guess they've invested somewhere in sidewalks. Has anybody else seen it? I haven't. But yet $200 million of public money has come in. And the reason they're having this vote tonight is because the board is looking at this preservation board and they're saying, you're the reason that we're not getting private money flowing into Orlando. Because we've had public money, we said that we've invested. Well, why are more people flocking to Orlando to put their private money into Orlando? Well, it must be because of the preservation board. It can't be because of the fact that, I don't know, you make it a terrible place for small businesses to go, or maybe you invested all of that money in the wrong places, because nobody who lives in downtown Orlando is like, man, if I could just get one more park down here for homeless people to hang out in, then maybe we would solve our homeless problem. What in what world did we think that $200 million in parks and public areas are what was going to beautify Orlando and solve the problems that we have? And now what's happening, Anthony, is that the entire city council is like, who do we blame for the fact that no private investment has come into Orlando? Oh, let's go ahead and blame this preservation board and say that they're the problem. Even though, get this, the preservation board has not denied one thing coming from the council. Everything that they've put through has been approved. But what this is the city council starting to look for a scapegoat. They're starting to look for the reason that nobody is coming to Orlando without looking at themselves. $200 million of public money invested in Orlando has nothing to show for it that anybody can name in the public. Go down the streets, walk from place to place. You can't name me one place that $200 million has gone. It is the worst run city in America, and the numbers show it, Anthony. Now, I know you may have a different opinion about this, but for me, I look at this and I think to myself, $200 million, where is it at?
I think I can agree. I agree on like the parks. I don't think we need more parks. That seems ridiculous to me because, for example, like Lake Eola, that's a big park that's there right now, and I don't like walking through because there's a problem. There's a homeless problem over there, and I don't like going there. It's doesn't feel welcoming to me. And so adding more parks is not going to solve that issue. And I feel like that money could be used for somewhere else instead of building more parks. That doesn't solve the core issue.
Mm-mm.
But I will say, I was telling you a little bit before. I kind of I kind of agree. I kind of like the historic side of downtown. It's not there now. It's sad because it could be really cool. Like because I I showed you that
I know.
there's this one spot. I got the name of it called Cheyenne Saloon. It's this old country bar on Church Street. It looks cool and it's still there. It's preserved. I guess maybe that's where the money went for that preserving historic. But I think that they should make it so that way if you're a local business person and wants to make a business in there, then you get some incentives to open up at an historic building or something where it's cool so that people can go there because that historic area is just dead right now. There's no businesses there.
Mm-hmm.
And if maybe there's an incentive for businesses to open up in a historic building, that'll be cool. And then we can maybe liven it, make it cool, that whole historic area. But right now it's dead.
Sure.
And
So I've seen the pictures of this saloon that you've shown me about. I like it. Okay. I think it looks cool. It looks like something out of like an old Western movie that somebody could open up. All right. Looking at the research, there are about 80 such buildings in the historic region, that historic area right now. Some of them dating back to the 1880s, and they sit mostly empty. Me and you disagree on this one. My thought is rip them all down, every single one of them, all 80. No one cares about the historic area of downtown Orlando. Nobody. People come here to go to Disney World, and the people who live in that area are sick and tired of empty buildings. Nobody cares about the 1910 building from Orlando. And if we do, put a nice rock out in front of it with a plaque that says what used to be there and some copper stamp that goes right on the thing. I am so tired of buildings in downtown sitting empty for no reason at all while small businesses are pushed out of the city. If you want to make a difference, City of Orlando, what you do is you foot the bill for the developer to rip the damn building down and then let the developer take it from there. And we get new people, new life, new energy into downtown Orlando without all the bureaucracy of some, what are we calling this thing? Some historic board that they're going to do a memorandum or what is it? I always get the word right. Moratorium, whatever the word is. They're going to put a 3-year stint that they can't approve anything anymore. Well, thank God. Because rip these buildings down and put things that are productive there. Empty buildings in Orlando do absolutely nothing. This is why when I look at this, $200 million, Anthony, invested in nothing to show for it in downtown. What are we doing here, City Council? It's mind-numbing to me that we have spent $200 million in downtown Orlando, and not one viewer can look at it and go, that's what we spent it on right there. A complete waste of money while we have a historic, what is this thing even called? The historic such and such? I want to make sure I get the name of this damn thing right. They're going to try to take the power away from, again, I want to make sure the something historic society or historic group. Tonight, I want to go back up to the story up here. So It's going to be a 3-year pause, moratorium is what it's called, a 3-year pause, a moratorium on the Historic Preservation Board's power downtown.
I will agree. No, we don't need empty buildings. But
No.
those cool ones, they're there. It's there. Just make an incentive for a business owner to go in there and open it up and make it cool.
Okay, so
That's
let's take where you're at. Let's take a building, all right? You've got a building, and the building's old. It's been there since, let's say, 1943, okay? Probably buildings down there, the 80 that fall into that category. Let's say the 1840s to 1940s to 1960s.
Yeah.
You've got a building that may have been old anywhere from 60 to 80 years, meaning that if you're a business like ours and we want to move in there, we've got to redo electrical. We've got to take out the floor. You've got to do so much to make that building a workable building for a business to rent that out, okay? And while I would love for there to be a market for that 10-story building where it's 80 years old, the wiring, the flooring, the walls, the ceilings, all that stuff, I wish there was a market for that. What I'm pointing out is that we don't have a market, in my opinion, for that type of building right now. And that the way that we get businesses into downtown is we say, we're going to get rid of it. We're going to make incentives for investors to come in, get rid of the old and put in the new. Now, if we were downtown Charleston, okay, where there's a historic charm that people drive and fly from all over the world to go to Charleston or St. Augustine, I believe that there's something to be said for preserving the past. But when I look at this right now, I think about Orlando and where we are at economically. I look at the money that has been spent by a city council of $200 million, nothing to show for it, and a terrible use of investment by the city council and Buddy Dyer and the mayor of Orlando that has been put into places like Lake Eola, Magnolia Park, things that nobody has any idea what they are or what they're going to do for the city, that it's about time that we get rid of the old and come in with the new. I don't think that Orlando is going to become a weaker city by ripping down buildings that have sat empty for 20 years and doing something with that space to bring in new small businesses, to bring in people and buildings that are $4,000 or $3,000 a month to rent, to make stuff that's closer to the Kia Center or stuff that's closer to Orlando City Soccer. These are all places where we can improve if city council would get out of the way. And then whoever was the moron who thought that let's go ahead and invest $200 million into parks, and parks are what are going to make the city of Orlando better, is nothing short of just not, they're not an intelligent person. They are not, I'm not making fun of them. They are just mentally not capable, or they should not be in a position where they're making decisions. They're not smart. Any common sense person who believed that we're going to invest $200 million and that $200 million should be invested in parks, and that is what is going to make the city more walkable and get private investment into the city, has never run a small business before in their life. I mean, it is by far the stupidest thing I've heard that you can invest $200 million in. If you wanted to do that, why don't you take Orange Avenue and make it look like someplace that's not like 30 years old? The paint is scraping off the buildings. It's old and outdated. Why don't you put some trees in to the darn place? We're trying to build parks while meanwhile the streets are falling apart in downtown. The historic district, which no one even knows we had to look up even where it is. You want to know why this place is just falling apart? It's because of dumb decisions from leadership like this. And now what they're doing is looking for their scapegoat. And their scapegoat is this historic preservation board that some guy's been on for 18 years who's about to make a big stink tonight at a city council meeting about why they need this board to stick around. Come on, man.
I still think that they should keep it. Because, okay, hear me out.
I'm hearing you.
Nostalgia's in. And everyone, if they opened up that Cheyenne's tonight and it was like a one-time thing, I would drive over there right now because I think that is so cool. Like 1800s, you don't have those here. Orlando has all these new buildings and they just become bland and all this stuff. But an old 1800s saloon, that's pretty sick. I would go there right now if it was opened. But the thing is, it's not open because they're not giving incentives to businesses to open it.
I can see where you're coming from. I know we want to focus on the saloon, and I get that. I would argue this: there's not a lot of new buildings in downtown Orlando, and that if we had a booming downtown district, and what was standing in the way was this district right here, and it was all that was standing in the way from expansion, then I can understand it. But what's happening is there's no expansion happening anywhere that's substantial. And because of that, we have this area that's just sitting there, right? And all around it, nothing's happening. In the area, nothing is happening. And so we got to do something. And yes, are there going to be people where we're going to lose some history of Orlando? Yes, we are. But it is my opinion that when you see, let me put it this way. I don't think we have to do this if the $200 million that's been invested was done the right way.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think me and you can both agree on this. Should we keep an historic district, and would it be cool if we had an historic district of downtown? Of course it would be. Cool. And if our city had invested $200 million in a reasonable way that was not just so dumb and ignorant as to go into parks, that we wouldn't need a vote like this at city council to get rid of the historic board. Mm-hmm. Because what we would have seen is the rest of downtown flourishing, and then people would have come in on the private investment side to invest in the historic district and to bring that area up because it would have been in demand. Mm-hmm. But when you don't have a demand for the historic district, because there's no demand in the greater area of downtown, because we've wasted $200 million, folks, $200 million on an action plan for parks to make the city more walkable, then the historic district is going to come next as the scapegoat for why private money is not coming into the city. But yet what city council should be doing is not pointing their finger at old Jeffrey Thompson, who's been the head of this board for 18 years. City council should be pointing at the mayor and themselves for the dumb idea to invest $200 million into parks, where that was supposed to make the city more walkable, according to Buddy Dyer. Who here thinks that parks make it more walkable, or what do they become a haven for? The homeless, which makes the city, wait for it, everybody, less walkable. You have to be an absolutely unintelligent person not to put those two things together. And if you are going to go ahead and build parks, then wouldn't your next step be to tell OPD to enforce the laws for people that are loitering or vagrancy? But no, let's build the parks, make sure that people flood into that who are homeless, that people who live downtown can't use those parks. And then we all look around at each other and go, $200 million? Can someone please tell me where that went? And everyone kind of looks and goes, I don't know. That is our city council of Orlando, everybody. Welcome to Orlando, where progress just gets shut down by a city council, and then they point each other and go, your fault, preservation board. No, your fault. When the person to blame is Buddy Dyer and the exact city council who has wasted $200 million. And now they're going to try to blame this Jeffrey Thompson guy who, well, listen, I appreciate the fact they're getting rid of it, but it's not his fault. It's where they put the money in the first place.
I'm just thinking back to all the comments we've gotten over the week.
Yeah.
Whereas it's like, how are you going to fix downtown? What is your solution? Well, it's definitely not this solution. If we were we were thinking, can't even think about like $200 million and that's what they're going to do to invest in. It doesn't make.
We've gotten thousands of comments and hundreds of messages about our downtown Orlando message. And Patrick, I'm going on the radio a few times this week, obviously, and talking about this. And what would you do, Patrick, if you were mayor that was different? Well, here's what I'd do. Everything that city council has done, I'd basically do the exact opposite, because you've got to be a complete idiot to think that going and investing $200 million in parks makes a city more walkable. Let me tell you, if you just go downtown right now and walk down some streets, I can find $200 million to spend a heck of a lot better than what they have. Awesome example. Go walk down Orange Avenue from North to South Orange. All right. That's it. You know, for Lake, there's where it goes under the underpass for 408. There's the Aloft right there, the Aloft Hotel. Start right there at Orange Avenue and go all the way down Orange Avenue. All right, till you get to the I-4 entrance right there. That right there is the main heart of downtown Orlando. That is what I would call one of the main arteries of downtown. And as you walk down that street, you'll see empty lots, you'll see homeless people, you'll see the face of the buildings that is tearing down because they're so old. You'll see old things that you're like, what are these places right here? They need a facelift right there. You'll see the old building for the newspaper, Orlando Sentinel, that sits there empty just about. You have all these places in the heart, the artery of downtown Orlando, the city could do something about with $200 million. But instead, let's put some parks, some benches, and some green space so that the homeless people can hang out there, and we're going to make this city more walkable. That was the great plan from Buddy Dyer. 200 million, folks. Like, this isn't like money that's been earmarked. We've spent the money. And I know some people out there are going to go, oh, well, Patrick, they're breaking ground on things like what? A park underneath I-4? Folks, what? Let me tell you what, first time, if I could stop that, if you made me mayor today and I could stop all of that from happening, it would be my first stroke of a pen. Whatever money that's been spent, we stop it. Let me tell you, in Orlando, the way the government should be run right now is it's okay to stop a bad decision. That should be the saying for Orlando right now. Everything you're currently doing, City of Orlando, stop. It's probably a bad decision. It's okay to stop now. You've wasted enough money. I know you've probably invested a lot of stuff into planning, some architectural company that built out some plans for building a park underneath downtown or underneath I-4. Stop. Okay, you've invested $3 million. Better to stop at $3 million than $16 million. It's okay to stop a bad decision, City of Orlando. That should be the overarching. If I'm going to come up with like a phrase, what do I call it? My slogan for Patrick for mayor, it's okay to stop a bad decision, Orlando. We're going to stop all the bad decisions that your city council has made, like building more parks in downtown Orlando when literally buildings are falling apart and there's just empty lots that are sitting there. And so what the city is saying is that the reason that they're not getting private investment is because, we've invested all this 200 million and now private investors are not coming in. We don't know why. Let's just go ahead and turn right now and blame Jeffrey Thompson. He's the reason why. His historic preservation board is the reason nobody wants to invest in the city. It can't be the fact that we put all of our money into stupid parks and nobody knows where it went. Or the fact that, there's no nightlife anymore because it's flooding out. It can't be the fact that people, when they go downtown, they don't feel safe. It can't be the fact that OPD doesn't enforce the laws. It can't be the fact that the rent is unbelievable or you have to pay extra for parking. It couldn't be any of those things. No, it's the fact that private investment is not coming in because of the Historic Preservation Board. That's what it is. This is typical scapegoating. They're pointing the finger because they know that it's gone absolutely nowhere. And now they get someone to point the finger at, some guy who's been on a board for 18 years, who's like, I'm just trying to do the right thing around here, save some buildings. But yet he's going to somehow be blamed for the ineptness that we have within city council. Pisses me off like no other, man.
I feel like Orlando is like a trash can and it's overflowing. So you know what their fix, instead of taking out the trash, is just buying Febrezes and just spraying it without taking out the trash. It's like,
yeah,
just take it out. Just take out the trash. Clean this up instead of putting Febreze and putting glitter to make it look nicer. It's still gonna smell like trash. It's still gonna be trash. Just take it out.
We have to. So the trash is, here's what I'm looking at right now. To use your example, we have trash that is there and it's overflowing, right? We need to take the trash out. All right. All of it. And it sucks that it's been overflowing, and it sucks that it smells, and it sucks that we've let it get to this point. It really does. But it's time to take it all out. And that means that we need to stop these ridiculous projects that the city council has funded. If there's a park that's received funding, it needs to stop now. Because there are more important things than creating another park in downtown Orlando. No one has gone through Orlando and said, man, if we just built one more park, this city could really be on the up and up. No, what they've done is they've gone through and they've said, man, these buildings look old and they're falling apart. There's empty lots here that need to be taken care of. We've got whole streets where businesses have shut down that nobody is there. It's a ghost town day and night. That's what people are saying. But city council is so removed from that that they believe that an historic board is the problem, or the fact that, you know what, they don't understand why more parks are not going to solve the problem. The ineptness and the just ignorance that it takes to make these decisions is beyond me. I really can't understand what goes through a board's mind of halfway intelligent people that this is how they decide to govern a city. It is absolute evidence of the fact that nobody on this board has ever run a small business in their life. And if they have, boy, they must have been terrible at it, or they're not taking the principles that they learned in that business to the city. It tends to be that way when people don't have to spend their own money. And the fact that Buddy Dyer and this council is not taking responsibility for a wasted $200 million, and they're going to use this guy as a scapegoat, is just more evidence of the type of people that we have in this city. It's absolutely terrible, in my opinion. Good on your end?
Good.
Awesome. Anything else about this one?
No.
I get where you're coming from. I get it. I just don't think it's the historic district's fault. It's everything leading up to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the $200 million wasted that gets us to this point where this even has to be a conversation, Anthony.
I think one thing to say, it's like, I agree that I think it's just sad that this historic district is empty. Personally, I would want it to be thriving and doing something cool, but that's just me.
Couldn't agree with you more. Okay, next story here. We're going national with this one, everyone. I don't know if you have heard, but Nike is on a bit of a death spiral right now. And I'm going to tell you what, it is not looking good for the once popular clothing and cultural giant. Nike's revenue fell $46.3 billion from 2026 from 2025, down 10%. All right. And when you look at the numbers, they are down everywhere. Now, the headline says that Nike is in trouble. With revenue dropping like it is, it's no wonder that they are. But we wanted to explore why exactly Nike is falling, because it's not the internet. I mean, Amazon's been a big player for 10 years. So it's surely not the internet right here. It's not the fact that more people are buying stuff online, or that there's less shoe stores than there were before. So what is happening within the clothing and shoe market that is affecting Nike that they haven't caught up with right now? So we looked at a few different things. First thing is there are more specialty players within the market right now. So if you used to be 10, 12 years ago, if you were a woman looking for, I don't know, yoga pants, there was Nike. That was a choice that you had. Today, there are 12 different brands that are specifically for women's yoga pants, like a Lululemon or others that are out there right now. And they're specifically marketed towards women, and they're a better product than what Nike is creating, because Nike is more general as opposed to being a product that is specifically for one vertical. So you see Nike is that whole market is being carved out by them. A bigger thing to me is going to be next on that list is that the middle ground for clothing and shoe apparel is being squeezed out, in my opinion, because less and less Gen Z and millennials care about that middle ground. In other words, if you go online and you're looking for a comfortable shoe, a tennis shoe on Amazon, would you rather pay $120 for a Nike shoe, or are you willing to pay $95 for a New Balance shoe? And it used to be, I think 10 years ago, somebody might say, well, I think I'm going to pay the Nike. Now I believe that what individuals are doing with their buying behaviors, they're willing to pay the $95 for the New Balance as opposed to the $120 for the Nike, because it matters less to Gen Z and to millennials the name brand that somebody wears. A good example of why this culturally has happened is because of people like an Adam Sandler. You see Adam Sandler's pictures and the guy's wearing just some kicks, shorts, and a t-shirt. And what you wear as a symbolism of how much money you make or your status within society or in a sport means less now than it did 10 years ago, which leads to the last point here, that the only place now that the symbol on your shoes matters is in high-end fashion. And I would say even there, it matters more than ever. It's one of those things where when you know type of deal. A good example of this would be something like Balenciaga. Balenciaga you can walk into, and the clothing for that store looks like something oftentimes you could find inside of a TJ Maxx, but the pricing on that could be anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000 for a t-shirt. But people who buy that are people who they recognize other people who shop in that store will understand that and think more highly of them. And so we have this combination of things happening within the market for Nike right now of people being more price conscious with what they buy. You've got culturally a shift in what is acceptable. And then you've got it only really mattering within the high end market, like your Balenciagas or your red bottom shoes, things like that, where high end fashion is appreciating things more. And your average consumer right now is looking at somebody who spends $250 on a pair of shoes as somebody who's otherwise irresponsible because they know that there's a $125 option that's out there. Because let me tell you, if you're making $60,000, you're making let's say you're making $100,000 a year right now, and you're going out there and buying $500 or $1,000 shoes, and you're wearing those out there, you're an idiot because today's economy doesn't provide for that. And there are not a lot of people that are doing that because of the job security that they know they don't have. So when Nike is putting out a shoe that is $250 or $300 or even $150, the average parent walking into a store or looking online for their son's shoes is not going to be as likely to buy that product now that they were 5 years ago. And that's where they're running into the slump right now. They've stayed in this middle ground market Nike has, and that middle ground is just being crunched out by people that are specialists on this side. And then on this side, the lower tier, the quality has increased with something like a New Balance or even a Reebok. The quality has gone up, and they've been able to stay a lower price point than what Nike is, and that's crowding out the middle of the market for them. And therefore, they're seeing their revenue drop, and they're not being nimble enough right now to adjust, and they're losing. But when you're someone like me who's used to the Nike swoosh, meaning everything when it comes to sports, it's very, very interesting to see such a recognizable logo taking such a huge dip in revenue in the past 12 months. And I don't think it's going to stop for them until they get out of that middle ground in certain areas and begin to market towards verticals and also have a product that is there for people that are more price conscious than where they're staying right now in that middle side.
Couldn't agree more. And also too, I've noticed too that I feel like there was a good period, maybe in like the early 2020s or late 2010s, that there was like a big shoe market where it was you buy these shoes and people flipped them and did all this stuff. But now in days, just the shoe market kind of died down, and now not really many people care about shoes as they used to. So now I feel like
No, I've got, what do I have on it? I ordered these the other day. These are Under Armour. So I just got these in for Amazon, and I don't like them. So shoes are one of those things where it's difficult to see sometimes online. Like, what are they really going to look like when they get on your feet, or how comfortable they're going to be? That's for sure. I tend to just reorder the same Reebok ones I know that I like that are made for CrossFit. They're like I think they're called like Nano or something like that, because I know that they're good and I like them and they're comfortable for my feet and I can work out in them. I can wear them every day and they tend to work. Every time I order a new pair of shoes, they look good online. This never seemed to work. But when I go and I look on Amazon and I see the prices for a Nike as compared to Under Armour or Reebok, I'm like, well, I'm going to go with the Under Armour or Reebok. I might like the way the Nikes look better, but I do it because I don't want to pay $30 more. And it's like, do I like the way it looks? Sure. But I'm not going to pay the $130 when I can pay $95 for the Reeboks. Yeah. And as soon as Nike gets out of this upper middle area where they're in, thinking they can survive off just of the swoosh, they'll make the change. You know what I mean? But it's gonna be a tougher battle. The market is more fractionalized now. If you're looking for let's say for a while there was CrossFit was popular. If you were looking for a CrossFit shoe, you weren't looking for a Nike tennis shoe. You wanted to find something specifically for your sport. Another good example what is the sport, not tennis, but paddle? What is it?
Oh, pickleball?
Pickleball.
Yeah.
If I wanted a pickleball shoe, I'm not going to go into Amazon and look at tennis shoes or running shoes. I would look up a pickleball shoe. I'd want something developed specifically for my sport. Mm-hmm. The same thing for any kind of shirt or any kind of pants. Women are looking for a specific pant for something that they do, like a yoga, like a women's workout pants. And when they look at those things, you have specialty especially manufacturers that are coming up ahead of Nike, that even if Nike was the same price point, they pay for the specialty because it's specifically geared and marketed towards women. And there's a perceived value of that product for women or for a pickleball player that says that product right there is worth more to me because it's made for my sport or for my body. So I'm willing to pay more for it.
Yeah.
That's what's happening right now. And Nike is being pushed out of that middle ground right now. I want to take us to a next story here, and that is going to be kids, e-scooters, and I'm going to tell you laws that are far too soft. If you've not seen the video, last week in Flagler County, a 15-year-old on an electric scooter, he ran through a stop sign and slammed into the front of a sheriff's patrol car. It was all caught on dash cam. The sheriff was only doing 19 and a 30. Let me tell you, the kid got lucky. Now, this ties into a story we did a few weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, a family didn't get so lucky in Lake Nona on Mother's Day. A 13-year-old, Corin Remsburg, he was on an e-scooter as well in Lake Nona, and a truck hit him. He passed away 3 days later. He was an athlete. He's a football kid. A terrible story that we had to cover right here. Now, here's the deal, everybody. It's the same e-scooter that we're talking about. And when I looked right now at Florida laws, there are some things that we need to change. You can ride on these scooters under the age of, or drive one of these scooters under the age of 16 as long as you have a helmet. I believe this law needs to change. 16 years old and up only on these e-scooters, 18 and up in urban downtown areas, period. We don't need a 13-year-old going 20 miles an hour down the road on one of these e-scooters. And don't tell me that it's because they need a helmet and that makes it safe. No, you know the 13-year-old is not responsible to do it. Maybe the mom is not going to be at home after school or after work. And so they're going to take that little e-scooter and they're going to get out there, just like this 15-year-old kid did this past week. And then one of these ordeals is going to continue to happen because they're not paying attention to the road signs. They have no idea what traffic laws are because they're 11 or 12 or 13 years old. They're going to continue to blow through these stop signs, and this is going to happen more and more as these kids get onto these things. And when we're talking about downtown areas, you surely don't need somebody who's 16 driving through downtown Orlando or any other metropolitan area on one of these e-scooters. What are you doing down there? It's at 15 years old riding one of these things. Listen, I get nervous for them when I drive past one of these people because I'm always thinking, what if at the last minute they had to dodge something, they lose control of that scooter? Does that mean they end up underneath my car? No, I don't want that. I don't even want to think about something like that happening. And who is it hurting right now by increasing the law or by increasing the minimum age from 6 to 16 and 18 for urban areas? I don't know one person who's sitting there going, if I didn't have my e-scooter, I wouldn't be able to get to work today. Said nobody ever. Okay. If you need to use it for transportation, you can use a bike. It's going to be a lot safer because you're not sitting there just going like this at the same exact speed, going 20 miles an hour. Much safer to ride a bicycle than it is one of these scooters right here. We need the laws to catch up. In 3 weeks, in just one metropolitan area, 2 people have almost lost their life. One of them has. It easily could have been a second within a 3-week period. And we're just one metropolitan area. This is happening all over the country. And we need the laws to catch up with the times. 16 years old, period, 18 in metropolitan areas. This is where, again, pass a law, not tough, everybody, and everyone wins. I don't see any downside to making this stricter here in Florida. I don't see any reason why this shouldn't be passed.
Yeah, and I definitely think too that I was looking it up. I was maybe a week ago or something. I was like, how much are these e-scooters? Because I've been seeing them over and over again, and their average is around like 200, 300, which is about the same as a bike. So it's like I could see why people are buying these more than like a bike, and I don't really see people biking as much. But
yeah, I think that when you're in control of something like a bike, you're controlling the speed. I think you're more aware of what is going on. That just seems to me like you're motorizing it, your bike, you're having to pay attention. When you get onto one of these electric scooters and you're off, you're not paying attention right now to what's going on around you. Put that into a 14-year-old's hands. These things can go up to 20 miles an hour. You're flying down the road. You have no idea what traffic laws are because you're not a driver. Yes, you know you should probably stop at a stop sign. You're not a moron, but you're not paying attention. probably because you're talking on your phone or you're listening to music. You don't know what's going on around you. And then you're flying through, car hits you, and then it's done. We're not talking about a very difficult law here to pass. 16 and up, 18 in urban areas. That's it.
I think one issue with these scooters compared to like a bike or like let's say an e-bike compared to like an e-scooter is that the wheels are like for bike it's you can go over these like big bumps and stuff like that, but the scooters the wheels are like so small that like if there's a bigger crack in the sidewalk and you hit it too hard, you're gonna fly out and you're gonna probably like hurt yourself or hit into someone without even knowing that the sidewalk had that thing. So I think it's like with these small wheels and then how fast they're going, it's going to be a recipe for disaster. Recipe for
Exactly what I think about when I'm passing one of these e-scooters in downtown. They have a little bike area over there, and this person's just kind of going, right? Well, what if they a little bit to the right, they hit the curb and they fall over like that, right? Right underneath the car.
yeah.
These things are nothing to mess around with, folks. And now a lot of times what's happening is that when downtown people they're driving them drunk. I personally know people that have ran into, let's say, curbs, trees, you name it, across the board. Um, and I think that people look at them as toys. And then you realize, hold on now, if a car hits one of these things, you're driving on the road just like anybody else is. This person could die. And it is something to where it seems so easy to me that we go 16 and up, 18 and up, we're good to go.
Mhm.
End of story. And then when you see kids that are riding this stuff that are 13, you cite the parents. You begin to do something to enforce the laws to keep kids off of these e-bikes or e-scooters. And listen, if you need to make an e-scooter park where kids can go and they can ride these things around like a Lake Eola, maybe you designate an area where these e-scooters can be used. I'm not saying that there has to be never again can a 13-year-old buy one or ride one, but riding one on the street is not something that should be acceptable. Every loss of life for a child, you've got to be kidding me. I know when I was 13, I shouldn't be going 20 miles an hour on one of these e-scooter things.
Mhm.
Surely should not be on a public street doing it. Then you get 3 or 4 kids together who are all trying to show off for one another, and you've got a real recipe for disaster. And it's continuing to happen. And as more parents buy these at a $200 to $300 price point, it's going to happen more often, and every loss of life is significant. Um, Easy fix here. I don't know why we're waiting on this one. Easy fix. 16 to ride one or 16 to drive one, 18 and up if you're in a downtown area. Boom, problem is solved.
Mhm.
Lives are going to be saved. Who's going to complain? The 11-year-old who wants to go, who's so anxious to ride his e-scooter? Sorry, buddy, you're going to have to wait. Or you go to a designated area where the e-scooter can be used.
Mhm.
You're not stopping anybody from being able to go to work or make a living for their family, but you will save a life by increasing the 16 and 18.
Yeah.
Seems to make sense to me, man. Story number 4 takes us to one of our favorite chains, my favorite fast food restaurant, McDonald's, everybody. It's introducing Archie, and you need to know about this. Last week, June 1st, at the Las Vegas convention, McDonald's unveiled a new strategy called McDonald's Next. It is built around an AI platform called Arch IQ, and the big thing everyone is talking about is the Archie AI drive-through platform. So basically what happened is a couple years back, they tested out a drive-through platform with IBM to where it would take your order, and they tried it at 5 stores and it did not work. They're coming back out and they're saying this time we're partnering with Google and we're going to roll this out at 500 plus locations where you no longer will talk to a person at the drive-through. You'll be talking with an AI bot. It will take your order and then somebody in the store is going to fulfill that order. Problem solved. McDonald's is saying that they have not announced any layoffs yet due to this technology. Yeah, like that's not coming. They're trying it out at 500 stores. Obviously, layoffs are around the corner. And when I look at this, I think it's a start of a bigger trend, everyone. And in some reasons, in some cases, I'm actually happy. I'll explain that, but I don't think there's any reason that AI can't take orders at a drive-through. I really don't. I've been to Wendy's around here, and Wendy's is doing it right now. It gets my order accurate every time. Um, I don't see why this wouldn't be something that takes off in the next 2 years, and you no longer talk to somebody there on site. You're talking to an AI, and that's it. This seems to be a very clear evolution of where McDonald's and other fast food chains go to cut cost. And No problem at all. Now, I'll say the reason why I really don't mind it is because it's a real pain to talk to somebody when you go through a drive-through. I always feel like I'm bothering them. And I feel like I'm bothering people in general now in hospitality. When I walk into a restaurant, people have lost a little bit of that hospitality feeling. A lot of waiters and waitresses, it doesn't feel the same to me. And so I would not have a problem if more restaurants instituted something like Archie, ordering systems where I didn't have to deal with a waitress. I mean, we went to, where were we at? We were in the Orlando airport, right?
Mhm.
And we had a little bit of a delay in our flight.
Oh, yeah.
And we went to a Mexican restaurant there. And the idea was you had to order on at the table. You weren't supposed to have a waitress, but then the ordering was broke at the table. So then she had to come over. It was like,
It didn't make sense.
it didn't make any sense. Like the exact reason you want us to be ordering at the table is defeated when the waitress has to come over and verify the order. It didn't make any sense. But if it had worked, to me, that is the future. I can sit down at a table at a, I don't know, Borders, whatever it was called, Taco Borders or whatever. I can go ahead and scan the menu, select what I want, press enter, and it goes over into the kitchen. Maybe I have to deal with a waitress who's on the floor who maybe can refill drinks and do some things like that. But what it would do is cut down on the number of staff that you need on the floor, make things much more efficient for the kitchen. That to me is an easy, like I see where that is going right now, and that makes sense.
Have you been to the Wellborn over in Orlando?
No, well, I've been to the Wellborn, but no, what's going on there?
Oh well, they did like the same thing with the scanning in the mobile app too. So like that's the only way you can order is through like the little app. You scan it, and then like the waitress comes over and gives you whatever you want.
Okay.
I love it because
Yeah.
because for one, if like you get your food, and if you want to order something really quickly, instead of waiting for the waitress or waiter to come over, you just order through the app. Done. You get another one, and then if if you're in a rush and you need to go leave, you could just tap and just pay your bill and just leave, and it's so easy. I
And if you're, let's say you're the owner or the general manager, you're responsible for the revenue of that store too.
Mhm.
Everybody knows if you've worked in a restaurant, they have team meetings before like the kickoff. Let's say
yeah.
Sunday morning and you have a brunch restaurant like a Kiki's Cafe or First Watch. Before you arrive on Sunday morning as a guest, they have had a team meeting where they're going to go over specials and things they want to push, how, things that have gone well, whatever. Then you watch this section. Here's how we're going to break everything up. Okay, they've had a team meeting. When you're talking to waiters and waitresses, they are told, bartenders, to push certain items, specials that you have at the restaurant. Doesn't happen very often because there's no incentive for them to do it.
Mhm.
So what happens oftentimes is that those specials don't get pushed, and then they try to stay on top of it the best that they can. Well, imagine if you're the owner and now at the top, when somebody goes ahead and scans, immediately it pops up with bottomless mimosas right here on Sunday morning. The Sunday morning bottomless mimosa, whatever special. And now it's like, oh, I do want that. That's exactly what we came for right now.
Mhm.
You don't rely on the waiter or waitress to tell you. You have it right there in front of you, which makes for a better customer experience. Or maybe it's the pancake special that you want to push that morning. That's the first thing that pops up as pancakes. And someone goes, man, I really love a pancake special. You didn't have to, the waiter or waitress isn't being relied on to push what the manager or what the owner of that restaurant wants. They can dictate the first thing that the customer is seeing and help their experience. And like you said, then if you want to leave, you want to add something to the menu, whatever it might be, you can do that right at your fingertips without having to wait on that individual. This is a no-brainer, in my opinion.
One thing, not kind of a pet peeve of mine,
Talk
but
to me.
not too much. But it's like, but I think this also helps with a little bit of a pet peeve that I have. So whenever like a waiter or waitress comes over, and it's a big table, but they're not taking any notes of like, hey, what do you want? And I'm
Hate
like,
it.
but I'm like, what if I like want this burger, but I want this and this on it, or and not this on this?
100%.
And then it's like, how are you going to remember this? And then it goes to the place, and then they get it wrong.
I hate it.
But then if it's all in the app, it's like, no, I literally don't want this. I don't want this. And it's so much easier for when it goes to the kitchen. Makes
Yes.
it so much simpler.
And it's better for the restaurant too. So it's
Oh, yeah.
great for you because I agree. It pisses me off. Like I'm sitting there and I'm telling you what I want and you're not writing it down. And I know you're not remembering everything here. I know you've been doing it for 5 years and you're so good at it and I got it. Okay, cool. But I'd rather you still write it down. The next thing though, it's good for the restaurant. So if it does come out and it looks like this, and you go, no, I ordered it this way, you can go, no, look, here's the receipt. You ordered it this way. Oh, I must hit the wrong button. Okay, sorry. Well, now it's not the restaurant's fault. Everybody is held accountable right here, not the waitress writing it down. You put it in yourself and you did that. So restaurants held accountable, you're held accountable, everybody wins.
Honestly, it's a no-brainer. It's a win-win for everyone because
Yep.
and instead of splitting the bill, be like, oh,
Oh,
put this person on this bill, put this person. Everyone just scan it. Boom.
yeah.
Everyone gets,
Every single one of those things has a little thing where you say split bill 4 ways, and everyone splits it 4 ways, or select item, and you can select the item for bill 1,
oh,
select the item for bill 2. It's very simple to do when you go to a restaurant that does it well. And you can do the same thing at a drive-through. And the AI, I've been to Wendy's, it does the exact same thing. I've never personally split a bill, but I saw somebody in front of me like, hey, can we split that bill in half? And the AI splits it in half and does
Oh,
2
really?
cards. Yeah, you can literally do that with the AI in a drive-through. I personally never did it, but I literally watched somebody do it in front of me. So when I see that Archie is coming out right here, I know there's going to be a lot of people that are all up in arms about it because no more AI is taking jobs. But let's be very frank. When we thought about AI taking jobs, everybody thought that this was going to be where it took jobs from first. It was going to be through fast food, through order takers. You've seen it before already in McDonald's when you can walk in, you can go to the little kiosk and put your order in. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of how much time it takes for them to integrate right now for McDonald's and the others to integrate in as well. It'll be very interesting to see what a place like Chick-fil-A does as more restaurants become automated. Chick-fil-A, known for its people standing out front, taking your orders and the efficiency that they have, be very interesting to see the efficiency within a McDonald's or Taco Bell or others catches up with the efficiency of a Chick-fil-A, in which case the value of a Chick-fil-A drive-through goes down if I know I can go to McDonald's and get the same level in speed and efficiency of service.
Mhm.
That'll be interesting in the next 12 months.
Yeah, because it's definitely interesting. Like I feel like Chick-fil-A is the only fast food spot where some of these fast food places I've seen like 4 people working, maybe
Mhm.
5. Chick-fil-A, there's like 30 people working. To be fair, they get it right and they're fast at that. So
Well, the only thing I say about Chick-fil-A is they're the only fast food restaurant that when I pull up and see a line wrapped around, I'll wait in that line
oh yeah.
because I know it's going to be fast. Even though the line is 10 people deep, I'll wait in that line knowing I'll get through that line in 5 minutes. Everywhere else, it's like, no, 10 people, I'm done. I'm going on. I'm not stopping here.
Burger King, there'd be no one in the line and I'll be waiting for 10, 15 minutes. I'm like, I'm the only car in this drive-through. What do you
Yep. And I think that's what they're trying to solve. And I think this AI problem may solve this for McDonald's
yeah.
because what it does, it stops the problem of an individual having to be responsible for taking the order. So you sit there at the order taking spot and you're waiting for a person to address you. If you automate that into AI, now that AI addresses you and the focus is completely on fulfilling the order, not on the front end of taking the order. And if you don't have to worry about accuracy there, and you can make it more efficient on the back end, then what you have is a better run restaurant. You're going to have more orders that are going to be fulfilled. That means you're going to get more orders in an hour. You're making more money and more revenue. And then as well, you're going to be more profitable. So it's a win for everybody right here, except for the person that is taking the orders. But here's what I believe. I think that if we're being more efficient and more orders are being taken in, that person's spot could be filled in fulfilling the order or moved to fulfilling the orders. They don't necessarily have to lose their job. But I think that we could see a shift in how fast food restaurants are set up and what individuals are doing in the short term right here. This is not going to take years for McDonald's to implement. They got it wrong the first time back in 2024 with IBM. They're going to get it right this time, and people know it. It'll roll out slowly, and over the next 24 months, you will not talk to anybody at a drive-thru at any fast food restaurant anymore. It'll be more efficient for everybody.
Yep.
All right, let's move into our last story that we have here today, everybody. This one is a very interesting one that hit our feed, and we wanted to talk about it. Over the weekend, USA Today came out with a list of the top friendliest and unfriendliest states to the LGBTQ plus sign community. So if you were ranked first on this list, then you were the friendliest state. I believe it was Massachusetts. And 50th on this list, you were the least friendliest to them, and I believe it was Arkansas. Florida ranked 46th on the list. It was very surprising to me. I really want to know from our community out there, the LGBTQ plus community, is this true? I don't know the answer to this. And the reason I asked this question so poignantly is because I would have thought, Anthony, that we were much higher in Florida on this list, especially as I looked at the Pulse nightclub and what do you call it? The not anniversary is not the right word. Is it the anniversary? Like it sounds like a good word. Um, it's been well, especially since it's been 10 years Friday since the terrible shooting at the Pulse nightclub. And since that time, I have always felt like Orlando was more progressive in the gay community. And because of that, I'm very surprised to see us 46th on this list. Um, I really love comments below from Orlando and Central Florida residents. Do you feel that Florida should be 46th out of 50 on this list? We've got a 33.2 score out of 100. The bottom five were Arkansas, Tennessee, Idaho, South Carolina, and then Florida. And when I look at this, these are very, very red states, right? Arkansas, Tennessee, Idaho, South Carolina, and then Florida. And I don't consider Florida to be red in that way. While we do have a legislature that is, I've always found our population to be much more of a purple, red, blue mix that we have here. And I really want to know in the comments section from the LGBTQ plus community, do you feel this way that Florida in Orlando is in the bottom five of friendliest states to your community? Because I am shocked at this number. I would have thought that after what happened in Orlando, that we would have been a more welcoming community to everybody. And on the eve of what is the anniversary of this tragic event, when I see this, I can't help but be disappointed. If this is true, and as people comment, we see this, I'm going to be extremely disappointed in who we are. Um, I want to be very clear about how I feel about this, all right? I think everybody should be welcome, and I don't care what you do behind closed doors. I could care less. For me, the person's character is not judged on who they go to bed with or who they like. Their character is built around how they treat the people around them, and keeping their word. Who are they, as a person? That is not who a person is. It doesn't define their worth. And so if we are a community that is bottom five as a state, and if you are someone in this community who feels this way, comment below, because we truly, myself, Anthony, the show, I would love to hear about your experiences. You can also DM us as well. You can DM right now. Let us know what your experience has been in Florida, in Orlando. Because this is really sad if that's the case. I would have thought Orlando or Florida would have been top five. I have to admit, like when I looked at the top five, I saw Massachusetts, some of the others up there. I would have thought that we were going to be one of the friendliest states towards this community. And the fact that we're not is shocking to me. It really is surprising to me, Anthony. And I don't understand why that is, especially when I think about Orlando, Miami, Tampa, Jacksonville, these big cities. Are we a community that is so far removed from the reality that we don't see what the LGBTQ plus community is looking at or dealing with right now? I looked at this, though. It did point out as we research this right now, according to State Climate Index, that every anti-LGBTQ plus bill that was filed in Florida in 2025 did get defeated. So I'm curious, how do people feel right now? June 12th, be 10 years since the most evil person walked into Pulse nightclub and tragically murdered 49 people. I remember afterwards, there was all this Orlando United, everything was everywhere, right? Have we lost sight of that? I mean, we're going to build this huge. There's a memorial that's going up. I believe you found that they're building a memorial or something along those lines that's going up here. But as a state, have we lost sight of this community? Have we? And I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. And I'm really anxious. I want to hear from people, Anthony. This is one where I want to hear from people in the community. What are we missing here? Because if I thought it was going to be top five and it's bottom five, how are we so disconnected from one another? Or is this USA Today article wrong? and people in this community do feel included and we're doing a great job, I'm just not sure.
I think what it is, I think Orlando definitely is more like for like more inclusive for like the gay people and stuff like that. But I think Florida generally, I don't think it is.
Really? Wow.
Um,
Okay.
I don't know too much about everything, but I think it was mostly because of that whole like bill that was passed like a couple of years ago, the like "Don't Say Gay" bill.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think that might have like played a big part in it, but I don't know too much about what the bill like entails and everything. But I think that might be a reason why we're so low.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess it could be if we looked at it, like our Florida legislature is supermajority. It's a supermajority Republican red, right? We have a governor who obviously is more conservative. And when I look at that, maybe the politics and the ideology around our government towards the community is less than positive. Let's put it that way. I bet that the community does not feel supported by our legislature. And I don't know about local leaders because at local levels, you could have Democrats, you could have Republicans, you could have all sorts of things, right? I don't know enough about local leadership at every state, or I'm sorry, I don't know much about local leadership at every city level to be able to make an opinion about this. Yeah. But when I do look at this and I think to myself, as we come out with this story, I'd really love to know from people in Central Florida, is this true? Should Florida be in the bottom 5 friendliest states to the LGBTQ plus community? Or does USA Today have it wrong? I'm not the one to answer this question, but I bet if we could put a poll out about this on IG, and I want to hear from comments on this one because I was thought we would have been so much higher on the eve of everything that happened with Pulse 10 years ago. And I know there's going to be a big memorial about that coming up on Friday this week in Orlando. I am just shocked to see that we are in the bottom 5 after especially Orlando at one time being the heart of empathy for that community. And if we have lost track of that, I want to hear from that community in the comments section your experiences that you've had in Orlando and why you believe we are either in the bottom 5 or we don't deserve to be in the bottom 5. I don't know the answer to this. It's just shocking to me.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, that's I'm thinking about it more. I think our community is there, but I don't think the legislation is there for Florida. If I'm being, because I think, because I remember like a year ago too, they had like, you know how like they had the rainbow on like the Pulse nightclub,
Yeah.
and then I think it was like DeSantis or Florida just like removed it and was just like nope, and started like spray painting it over.
Yeah,
So
I do remember that. There's I can see how there have been events like that that can make somebody feel like they are not welcome, right? And then I can also understand the other side of where people are like, oh, you know what? Everybody should be equal, no special treatment for anybody. I get both sides of it. I understand. What I'm more concerned about here is not individual instances. Okay. Let's say I'm worried about what people are feeling. What is your feeling if you are in this community, right? Like what has your experiences been within Orlando, Central Florida, Florida in general, right? If you live in Tampa, have you felt like, hey, listen, I'm under attack, I'm not supported, I don't have places that I can go to where I feel safe, I feel like there's laws constantly trying to be passed that are against me, I feel like my local leadership doesn't support my sexuality? Are you feeling that way? And sometimes it doesn't take a law. Sometimes just as a person, you can just feel like I'm not supported within this community for who I am. In which case, tell us about it. I'd rather know. I want to hear somebody's personal experience, Anthony. Give me a comment. What have you run into, right?
Yeah.
What's been your experience in the community? Has there been a time where police pulled you over? You wanted to go out on a Friday night and didn't feel like you had a place to go. That a group of your friends, you feel like, hey, you were looked at differently because of what you believe or what you feel, what your sexuality is. Has there been a law that's been passed in your local area to where you feel like, man, I am not somebody that they like within our our local politics? I'd want to know about that because for me, I can only go judge by the research that we do, but you can never discount how somebody feels because you can have all the laws in the right places and you can have all the boxes that are checked. But if somebody feels differently, that's what we want to hear about, Anthony.
Yep.
So I'm really anxious I'm anxious a little bit is the right word. I really want to know what this community feels like, especially on the eve as we lead up to June the 12th with the memorial for the Pulse nightclub shooting, how this community is truly feeling in Orlando. So, really looking forward to hearing some of these comments from you. And we'll do a follow up on this either Wednesday or Thursday based on the comments that we receive. I think it's going to be very interesting, Anthony. Let's put a poll out with it on Instagram. We'll do that and we'll get comments from everybody. And then we're going to do a follow up on Wednesday or Thursday and see what everyone says about this. I think the response is going to be very unique and interesting. We'll judge by what we see there.
Yep.
I love it, everybody. We've got our 5 stories there for you. We appreciate you so much joining us here on the Patrick Carr Show. As always, if you're watching this over on YouTube, well, anywhere, if you're watching over on Instagram or LinkedIn, make sure you head over, subscribe, like what we're doing. We try to do this for you. We get no money for doing this, everybody. All right. We're not getting paid to do this. We do it because we genuinely enjoy bringing the news to you, and we want to try to bring a different perspective into your life, hopefully make you a little smarter, or if nothing else, entertain you for about an hour. We'll see you tomorrow here on the Patrick Carr Show. Thanks, everybody. Yeah, for that one, I'd really like to do like a big heavy into comments below. You know,
do that.
You could even do LGBTQ plus community comment below.
Yeah.
Like in the title, even. Something, I mean,
I think maybe
I think it'd be really helpful.
something like the title.
I really like that. I really think we should.
Maybe like the first thing to do is like